You know, guys wonder why women can't park.
Oh, why is that?
Because they've been constantly lied to about what 8 inches is.
Well, good
You were
thing.
like 4 inches. I was like, here?
You can't laugh and
No,
cry
we
within
split
2
it.
words of each other.
You know, we'll split it up.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like the best life teammate ever.
Aww,
you know?
it's so cute.
It's the best.
So just a little context here, since we're here just having fun and normal conversation.
So normal.
We could call it a podcast, or even better, the Goat Podcast.
The Goat Podcast, because we have goats.
Oh, it's so cute. And
there's Clay
for those of you
us.
noobs out there, if you don't know what GOAT stands for.
There's Max right behind us right there. That's the other goat. And there's Rio and Toads and that pen over there. And Pax is around here somewhere.
Where you at, Pax? We're just sitting here in the pro wrestling WWE ring. It's pretty cool,
You
dude.
almost said cage.
I did. I almost
The
slipped.
Goat Podcast. Justin, how do we know each other, Justin?
So my first memory of us meeting, which was not the first time we met apparently, was I remember you were like super sucked out cutting weight. Really cut out. Like, I think it was 2001, but I know we knew each other before that, but I think you were like kind of on this junior, senior judo circuit, and you were staying with us. And I was talking to you, and you hadn't eaten in like 3 days. And you were cutting weight, but it was like not Mike Dolce approved weight cut.
Yeah, it was like, I'm just going to not eat or drink for 3 or 4 days and like get lighter.
Totally. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Like, do I need to puke myself to make weight? Maybe. I don't know. But it was for the U.S. Open, I think. And
oh, yeah. I remember I was 15.
you're 15.
You didn't remember me before I was 15?
No, I did, but this is
oh
my
my
first-
God, you were one of my favorite people up to that point.
No,
I
no,
was
no.
like, I loved you guys. You didn't even remember me before then. Damn.
I was in my own world.
Blooded.
No, but like
Loved
the
you
first
guys.
time I'm like, oh shit. I remember you obviously, but this is.
You what?
I had contact with you before I moved to Nebraska in '98, but it wasn't that much. And then I moved to Nebraska, and you moved back from the Dakotas back to SoCal. So, and then there was much more interaction between our families, but our families were already closely linked because my father is your godfather. So, but then when I came back after my little wrestling stint, you were always around. So, and that was the first exact tournament that you were around for where we were all competing together. So I remember watching you in this one match. I'll always have this image burned in my head. You're fighting like some real good player from Europe. I think she's British. And
Sarah Clark.
Sarah Clark, yes. And you,
That was my second U.S. Open.
maybe I'm, you know, all these tournaments, but I have this image blazed in my head. Your hair is everywhere. It's like just like Afro Joe. You might have snot coming out.
My nose is bleeding on that
Nose
one.
is bleeding. Your shirt, the undershirt that you wear in the judo match under your gi, is like literally just covering your nips because it's like pulled
Ripped
out to the
fuck-
side.
Yeah, it was always like cotton white shirt, so it always get ripped and pulled.
You're in the middle of the match, and from everything I remember is you're kicking her ass. You're beating her, and she's like an established senior who's medaled in European events and maybe in the Worlds, and you're killing her. But for some reason, just something wasn't going right during that little exchange, and you started crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? What is going on?
I know, I was behind by a small score up to like the very end. I think she got I got like a penalty or something. Something happened. Shit. I remember watching this over the first time and like crying alone in Jimmy Pedro's living room at night. I swear to God, like after everyone went to bed, I like watched it and shit. I was like, watching it alone in the living room.
That's a good little insight to like what champions do. You know, they go over their losses and they rectify them, and that's what you did. I saw you years later go against her in the semis of the British Open. I think it was like in 07.
Yes.
Great match. And they like tried to screw you in every which way because it's in their backyard. They moved up that one semifinal like 3 hours so you would still be tired after your quarters or whatever.
No, yeah, I had a horrible weight cut.
Yeah, we both did.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, you threw up that
It was
morning.
fucking terrible.
Oh, and I threw up on the mat.
Memories.
Oh my God! After the semifinal, so we were into the golden score, 5 minutes, no score. I felt like shit, and yeah,
There was one moment she came in for a move, and you might have did a headstand for like, you know, in the moment it seems longer because you're there.
Yeah.
It was like 4 seconds probably. But like, no, because your back is so small, you could spin out of everything. I know of
Matrix out of that shit. But then she fell on top of me at one point. Oh, there goes the goat.
No longer the goat.
Oh, no, we failed.
But I guess to like reel it back into when we first knew each other, or got to know each other. Our families are really close, and your mom and my dad actually were in LA judo scene at the same time. I think Tenry was the club that was
Tenry.
where all the battles were fought.
All the legends of 80s Tenry judo.
I hear about all these legends, and I'm like, I'm sure they were tough.
They were thrown out the window.
Yeah, it's like, they locally maybe they were cool and tough, but yeah, I don't know.
But it's kind of cool to like let them live in their former glory.
Of course, always. That's more important for my dad's ego than like the reality of it. Where I'm like, Dad, this dude never placed at the Nationals.
It was the best. It was the best, Mom.
Yeah. Well, judo back then was much tougher, and it's like.
Oh yeah, it was so much tougher. Well, actually, now with the fucking rule changes,
you can't do anything.
That actually makes sense now.
Yeah, it was much more like actual fighting then.
Yeah.
Now it's like Greco-Roman judo bullshit.
It is. I mean, you can't spin out on your head anymore. So if the second your head touches the mat from your opponent trying a technique, you lose.
So because of all these bullshit rules and bullshit, they have like a freestyle judo fucking
league or like a association.
Yeah, it's my mom's friend Steve Scott on Copper wrote the rules.
I remember him from like all the Hawaii camps that me and my brother used to go to.
So I'm thinking, why don't we copyright our own set of rules, have our own fucking tournament for money, like the New York Athletic Club. Their tournament had a bunch of people come to it. We could invite judo people, jiu-jitsu people, grappling, sambo, da-da-da-da. It'll be like UFC back in the day. It'll be like the best of the grappling styles, styles clash.
The rule set is going to be what's like the interesting thing to
Styles. Make. Oh, wait, my camera's gone. No, it wasn't there anymore. I was AJ Styles. There's no camera.
Oh, you took it.
AJ Styles.
I thought the wind knocked
Styles
it over.
Clash is his finisher. Anyway, yeah, we could do like a grappling fighting championship, and we can call it our own style. We could call it
I think we talked about it earlier. You talked about like
Bushido judo.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Bushido judo.
But the judo would be a little loose. It would be more like the old school judo, like jujitsu-y, where like the rules. It's hard to with takedowns when you put into takedowns into sport jujitsu. You can't try many big takedowns where you turn your back to the opponent because you're risking a lot. So
we could give like huge scores for throws.
Yeah. And maybe even a slip, where if you try something and like a seonagi or a throw where you're actually committing full force and you don't get it, you give a couple seconds after that attack, and if nothing happens, okay, no points against you because you went for it. Something like old freestyle wrestling used to have, where...
I don't get it.
So if you try a throw and it doesn't work,
you
at least went for something. You shouldn't be like given points against you or a penalty.
No, why would you?
But in jiu-jitsu, if you try a throw and the dude behind you, the throw doesn't work, and they get their legs in and they get like a bunch of points.
No, fuck that shit. So
it's going to have to be like something to find a middle ground.
I think it's just old judo.
I think it would be with the assumption that the ground is hard.
Yeah.
So if you think that like if you're doing it on cement, you're actually doing it on the mat, then a forceful throw. I love the excitement of there being like instant wins in judo.
Yeah.
At any point anyone could win.
2 seconds left. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I love like the idea of there always being an opponent.
Yeah.
Like always like a clean fucking throw that you could just blast the shit out of somebody on some concrete and they dead.
Yeah.
You win. Like that. And then I think like submissions, of course, you win. I love the idea of like having a pin, but like a long pin, like
the long form 30-second, 20
yeah,
second.
like 30 seconds, because you can hold it for someone 30 seconds. A friend came and kicked you in the nuts by now.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Take him down, mount him.
Hey,
win.
someone call so and so or whatever. Throw me a knife. Wow, something.
Yeah.
Like 30 seconds is enough time to do something where you can assume that the fight is over at that point in a real life situation. Unless you two just happen to meet in the open like field somewhere and have a disagreement. Like,
real likely. Yeah.
Hey, you.
That scenario.
Hey, you. Soft field.
What do they call it? Like a 50-yard stare or something? Like, It's like, yeah. But Yeah.
Like a fucking anime, like we see each other at the end of a beach and we're like,
Yeah, and the
and
grass
you're coming
is
at me
like
and you're like,
moving,
yeah, the grass is rippling, and then we meet in the middle and we're like, soft sand and like no obstacles, and it's just us.
It's the perfect
you know?
scenario for fighting, which never works that way.
For fighting.
It's not like World Star Hip Hop, so that's what's real.
Yeah, so like I want to like make a sport with like rules, assuming like things are as accurate as possible, like that the ground is hard.
Yeah.
You know, so there's instant wins.
And are you thinking weight classes, or is it going to be like old school UFC one?
Oh.
Just fat.
I think there should be a no weight class division where you sign a very hefty and long paper.
Yeah. Overseen by many lawyers.
Yeah. But yeah, I think maybe very few divisions, but all with like a good amount of prize money.
Okay.
You know?
So there's the incentive. So the competitors.
Grappling people don't make shit, dude. Like you put a little money, you put a little bit of money down, and people
come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, build it, and they will come.
So we'll have to invite some good heads that are judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, that can maybe cross over and be able to function with submissions, or the wrestlers being able to function in the submission culture.
And just imagine somebody from judo winning like the fucking, I don't know what we would call it, the
Bushido
judo classic or whatever. Like they would be able to have enough like cred to make money, like teaching a whole bunch of different places. It would like
doing
add
seminars,
to, like, seminars, like
sponsors.
It's such and such tournament champion. They've won something people have heard of.
Yeah.
It could really help people in the long run.
Yeah, get some big names into it too. I mean, the competitors that compete in judo for the U.S. right now, they're all IJF. This is the International Judo Federation. They have a points total that lasts 2.5 years that lead up to the Olympics to be in the top 22. So the tournaments that they choose to do all fall within that like purview, that paradigm. So to get them to compete in something like this, money would be like the perfect way to get them in. So I think that would be a viable option for some of these athletes that compete for the U.S. or even other countries. But
yeah, and do something like the New York Athletic Club. Make the tournament somewhere like really fucking cool that people want to go, and we'll feel
spotlight,
like cool
DJ, alcohol, fun times.
Hi, sexy butt.
You talking to Jacob back there?
No, Chad's walking by with a drill and shorts and white shirt, sweating in the sun. Oh, I love my husband. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I was watching the whole reflection out of your sunglasses, so I got the visual as well as the audio. So what's your next trip where you're gonna go kill some big animals?
First we have to preface this with the motivations behind it.
Okay.
So there's a difference between meat hunting and trophy hunting. I'm very much against trophy hunting. I don't believe in it. I don't agree with it. I see how some people can argue that the money goes to good causes or whatever, but I don't agree with the motivations behind it, why someone would actually want to do it. Meat hunting, on the other hand.
So we won't see you in front of a big elephant holding like a gun and pointing number 1 or something like that anytime soon?
No, I believe in living sustainably and getting suffering-free meat. I want to be as respectful to the life I take as possible. And so I want to make sure that like I don't want my money that I'm spending in the store to sponsor the life of a cow suffering, living knee deep in its own shit for its whole life and dying in complete panic in a slaughterhouse, knowing the shit's coming and having all of these like panic hormones pumping through its body at the moment it dies, and you're eating all that.
Factory farming.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think if I do, because I tried being vegan for 8 months.
I remember.
I got real sick. I didn't really do it the right way. I was bartending. I was broke. You need a lot of free time and some funds to be easy.
So you're eating like Laffy Taffy, and you're like,
I was eating like 99-cent store corn with green Tabasco that I stole from Chipotle, and like Jameson with sweet potato fries.
Nice.
Like tasty. That was my diet. And oh my God, I was smoking Camels back then. So
So there's some nutrients in camels, right? You get some nutrients in there.
Not the actual camel animal. No, I was a vegan. It was a cigarette.
I get you.
So, but I got bronchitis and all this stuff for a lot of other reasons.
Yeah.
But I just really missed like like the actual like texture of like, yeah, the first thing I wanted to eat when I broke was I wanted an egg McMuffin. I wanted like some resistance when I bit into something like something. There's no resistance in vegan food. It's just like
tofu goop. Like,
yeah,
dude,
There
totally
you go, eat
nothingness.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nothing fulfilling about a meal like that.
yeah, so I just miss that shit. And so I know that I'd like to eat meat and my quality of life is better. And so I just feel like it's more respectful to take that animal's life yourself and make sure that that animal lives as good of a life as possible, and that you take that life as sustainably as possible and as respectfully as possible. So I would rather that an animal lives its life in the wild, and I sneak up behind it and shoot it, and then it dies, and I got it. It dies within a minute, and I pull that animal out and we eat it. We use every single bit of it as we can. That's, you think about it, every single factory farmed animal that's, loss of habitat for building somewhere for the animal to live, and loss of habitat for growing the crops for that animal to eat, and then that's pesticides and all that shit that animal has for its plants and that it eats, and all of their hormones and so that's given the antibiotics, and that reduce the effectiveness of our antibiotics and all this stuff. All of this is going into you getting that guilt-free meat from the store.
Yeah, it's too easy to go to Jack in the Box and get a burger, but there's all the externalities that you just explained that like you don't even think about.
And you just feel so much better about yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
Because I don't feel good about going out into the wild and killing an animal. It's like,
No.
I don't feel good about going out and killing an animal. Like, we have some friend of ours, a couple friends of ours that had a herd of bison, and they needed to cull some bulls from the herd just because from the amount of land they have, for how much
They got to get rid of
can
them.
support them during the winter. Yeah, there's only so many they can support.
Mm-hmm.
And so we paid the money to go and harvest this bull ourselves, and I shot it myself, and all of the bulls like went and like circled around it. It was so
wow.
sad because they like trusted us to come near it. And then I got as good a shot, as close a shot I could, make sure it did not suffer at all. Boom, it dropped on the spot, but all the other like buffalo came like around it and were like circling.
Mourning.
Oh my God. I was crying
man.
my eyes out, and like,
But it was a clean death shot,
yeah,
dead within a minute.
Yeah, it didn't suffer. And then, we went and hauled them out of there and tried to be, that's Millie. That's my girlfriend.
Mourning for the dead buffalo.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was the same one, but you were quite generous with the meat, and you gave, last time I was here, I think you gave me like 10 pounds of it. It was so delicious. Oh
Yeah.
man, it's so good.
And it's the healthiest meat for you. But yeah, we had to like try and I was part of it as much as I could to like part of like butchering them. Yeah. And like learned whatever I couldn't do, or was trying to learn whatever I couldn't do. And we
what's
put
the
them up in
process there?
coolers.
Like they hang it or what? I don't know.
Yeah, we
anything.
had to get like one of those big like shovel like things, Komatsu. Like big shovel. What's that called? An excavator. We had to use the excavator to like lift him up. And then we pulled this. Yeah. I think we dressed him first, took the organs out first, or did we hang him first? No, we hung him first.
And are you the one cutting? Like,
yeah, we cut the skin. I
Wow.
was helping them pull the skin off, and then I think we dressed them and took all of the organs out and put that on a tarp, and like separated out everything that we could use and put away and things like that. And then we took the rest of the skin off, and now we're getting the skin made into a rug.
nice.
And like the head, I think. I don't know if I think we're getting a European mount made of the head. And that's the thing, like taxidermy isn't something like, oh, I'm bragging about I killed this
Trophy
thing.
on my wall.
It's like, I want to use every single part of this animal.
And that's the only thing you could do with the head. So,
yeah, like there's certain things, it's like, what else can you do with it? Like,
You're not
I don't
eating
wanna throw
eyeballs.
something away. Yeah, I want to use it for something. And so, so we just took as much as we could, and we got about like 500 pounds of meat almost.
so tasty.
So that'll last us for the whole year. And that, this we call him Benny, our bison. He was living in the North Dakota prairies his whole life and happy, and one day just painlessly dropped dead. And the only other way that these animals can die in the wild is they starve to death, they get eaten alive, or they get like gored by another.
What are the predators? Wolves up there for them, or
wolves and coyotes and pumas and each other. They'll just straight
so
up
they
kill
fight each other
They
and
fight
kill
each other. Yeah.
So about some of the detail when you hang it and you're cutting it, is there a timeline where the meat goes bad, so you're kind of in a rush or a panic to get things done right, or is it?
No, it's just because it's, as long as you get it done like that day, and it's freezing cold outside.
That helps.
We're in North Dakota, so it's freezing cold. It's like steaming outside, so we actually have to leave the coolers open to allow the cold in. Because if we close the coolers, it'll keep it warm. That's how cold it is outside. So we weren't really.
So it's like a natural refrigerator.
Yeah, kind of like that. But we didn't want it to freeze solid either because we still had to get it processed and everything like that. And so, we fill up a whole freezer in our barn with it. And instead of going to the grocery store, we just come down to our barn and we grab.
It's taco night. It's chili night. It's whatever. Right?
Yeah, and then we save the gas of going to and from the store and all of the packaging and all of the stuff that you would otherwise get in meat from the store.
So you're running your own ecosystem too here. I mean, you don't need to go venture out for much. I mean, you got chickens. There's so much going on here. Goats. You got a bull. You got donkey.
Yeah,
it's like a zoo here.
When you think of the carbon footprint of the meat you get from the store, think of the carbon footprint of we had the gas of driving from LA to North Dakota and back. That was it. Which honestly, like, your meat, it probably wasn't anywhere near you and had to take a trip that far anyway to get to you. And for every single one of those individual packages too has been brought by a different truck. You know what I mean? As opposed to like all your stuff's on one truck, brought to your house, boom, one trip.
All the holding facilities it's had to be in, all the like different processing that's happened to it. You don't know how many animals actually went into that hamburger.
Different semi truck had to bring every single different individual burger that you got at every single individual store, and people think that we're being cruel somehow by like, no, like I realize what I'm doing when I kill this animal and I cry over this animal and I make sure that none of that meat goes bad, like wasted, like chickens eat meat that have gone bad. We have some elk upstairs that went bad that we just made too many, it was too much bison. We made too much carne asada and some of it went bad, and we're going to make sure the chickens eat it, and they're going to get the eggs, and then we're going to eat the eggs. You know?
It's super commendable, all the stuff you've done. But at a first glance to somebody that's not interested in this, they'd be like, kind of like you explained, where you walk someone through it and they'll understand like your thought process rather than like judging you for something they don't understand.
Yeah.
So
like, I know it's not something that I enjoy. It's not recreational. I don't believe in like sport hunting. I believe how like hunting is fun, killing isn't. Like the act of hunting, it can be really cool, just being out in the wilderness and like putting that work into like, you drove to the middle of nowhere and then hiked to 4 miles with all of your like everything that you needed and like your tent and all that stuff for, say, like 20-30 pounds of stuff. And then you live out in the woods for several days, hiking out from that spot, trying to track these animals and hearing them and like, in the woods and stuff like that. Like, and it gives the animals like a shot. Like I prefer bow hunting because I actually wanted to be as part of natural selection as possible. Yeah. And if me, a big clumsy human, if I can get within 60-40 yards of a wild animal, like something better than me is going to get you.
Yeah.
Like at least I'm part of it. Whereas like if I'm like 300 yards away and see something over a ridge, the animal doesn't really stand a chance.
So is that your distance you could bow hunt at, that far?
I pretty much will take a shot between like anything under like 60 and under.
Okay.
I'd trust myself.
So you're like stalking cat. You're walking very tenderly.
Yeah, like the wind. You have to think about where your your sound and where your smell is going and all this stuff. And it's a lot of like work. I think that if we were hurting for meat, like if we needed some meat, like we were running out, say the generator went out, like we had a generator go out before, and thank God we were like really low on meat at that point, but we lost like maybe like 100 pounds.
Ouch.
And like if we needed to get some, I'd be like, go rifle hunt something, just to
Desperate
fill the
times.
freezer. Yeah. But if we don't have to, I would prefer to bow hunt just to kind of like, I don't know, I think you're more aware of what you're doing when you have to really look at that animal in the eye as opposed to like through a scope.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't know, it's like a deep like connection spiritual thing where it's not like this is fun for me and like this is like this is like taking a boat out on a lake. It's not. It's like seeing your place in like the ecosystem and everything like that. And like when you kill an animal, like I seriously, like every single time I promise that animal, like every bit of energy that I get from eating that animal, I'm going to use to make this world a better place.
Yeah.
And like I have that responsibility to that animal because I chose to take its life and to use that energy that it had to go live its life. No, I said, if that energy is better off with me, I'm going to kill you and take it. Well, I better do something good with it.
Not to mention, it's fucking delicious.
And it's yummy.
Yeah, it's tasty.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, come on, it's good. And it kind of sucks because I like really want to get a pig, and because our neighbor gave us some bacon from their pig, and it was so good. But a couple girls on the roster have pigs, and I feel like they're really gonna hold it against me if I'm like,
as a pet.
Yeah, they have two of them that I know of, maybe more, have pigs as pets, and I think they might hate me if I'm like, hey,
but that could go into like the storyline, maybe even. You never know, right? How they could use that in your character's story.
Maybe
arcs.
because me and Alexa Bliss has a pig, so I might get a pig just to kill it.
There we
because
go.
I hate her.
Could be a metaphor for what's going to happen.
You should be a writer.
There you go. Yeah.
A lot of people don't get that information until right before they go out, and sometimes the information changes while they're out there. Now that you've heard my spiel on sustainable meat and eating and all that stuff.
No, I'm a fan of you doing that for a bunch of reasons, because primarily my son, half of the meat he ate over the course of the last few months was that. So
we're gonna send you back with a whole lot more.
Dude, that was the whole reason I'm here, basically. My wife sent me out with mission orders. She's like, hey, Adam needs to get bigger than 25.4 pounds. So
yeah, well, I mean, we're happy to give away any of the eggs we have or any of the meat we have, because to me, I'm like, that's one less factory farmed cow or, factory farmed chicken that is suffering, so we're happy to give as much of it away as possible.
Hell
and we
yeah.
have hundreds of pounds of meat, and yeah, dude, like, take it.
Giving out life force,
we
calories.
have a whole grocery store there.
It's pretty tasty. You're eating super athletes too, man. These things are like out in the wild surviving, and they're muscular, and the meat is lean, and it's really good.
Yeah, and it cooks faster too because it's so lean. You just put it like super high heat and you just sear it. Pow pow. Yeah, you cut it off the gristly stuff. You put some like spices on it, and then I like using the cast iron pan just because and you just just throw it on real quick on high heat, and that's it. And that's
like
why
for burgers and for
like little like steaks and stuff like that.
Oh, you're talking about like the fillets, not the ground beef.
Fillets.
Yeah.
Like the ground beef, you can cook like that too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like but yeah, in general, because it's so like tough and like lean, but when you cook it like that,
overcooking it would be rough.
When you cook it like that though, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't done the fillets yet. You gave
time.
us a couple too, but they're still in the freezer. We did mostly the ground.
Fast. When you're like, oh, steak, no, it's fucking pow, have some steak.
All right, I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yep, get on it. So how's life? How's the mentally?
Mentally, life good, dude. I'm coaching the Alliance MMA pro team a couple times a week, and I'm the U.S. Judo head coach for like the world team, and we'll see about 2020. And I got a couple other fighters and judo competitors and jiu-jitsu people that come to me privately that I train. Recently, Kat Zingano.
Yeah, how's that been?
Pretty good, actually. She hit me up out of the blue off Instagram messaging, and it was really weird because I didn't know what like spawned it. And she said, I go with the forces of nature. It was kind of hippy dippy. And she's like, I heard your name 5 times. And on the 5th time, I'm like, this is the universe trying to connect me with this other person.
I love it.
So she hit me up, and I'm like, okay, so who are these 5 people? And it's interesting because a couple of them I didn't know even knew who I was. So, which was kind of cool to know that I've, as far as like seeking.
But you didn't know them?
Well,
and they knew who you were?
Yeah. Well, I don't know them personally. Like
you didn't know them personally, but they knew who you were.
Yes,
they were talking about
exactly. So she was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he apparently, mentioned me, which is like, okay. And Eric Del Fiero, Jessica Penny, and a couple other athletes that I'd worked with. So it's fun. She's like really explosive and has like some untapped potential where she's, she's a great fighter in her own right, as you know. But she's just refining a few things, and she's fighting this weekend in Boise, Idaho. I wish her all the best, and I think she's going to do great.
Who's she fighting?
She's fighting Marion Renaud. Renaud? Yeah, Marion Renaud, who is a jiu-jitsu specialist.
Jiu-jitsu, bro.
Jiu-jitsu. So,
I really like Kat. I hope she does well.
Yeah.
I have nothing against Jujitsu or Miriam. I just don't know her. And Kat's fucking cool.
Yeah, she had nothing but good things to say about you. Was super happy for you as the fly flies into your mouth.
Jesus. Well, this is the GOAT podcast. Dude, she was awesome.
Yeah, so there's been some of that, some of these athletes that are fun to work with, and hopefully that keeps progressing. But yeah, I have the most fun depositing sweat into this ring here when we go at it, which is fun because I've had a few experiences in here getting thrown around and kicking you in the gut softly but acting like it's really hard, and it's super fun, man.
What's your impression of all this?
Dude,
I call it all the wrestling stuff because like for everybody like on my team or whatever that I've trained with in the past had no interest or any knowledge of wrestling whatsoever up until this point.
So I was a
really
super
interested.
fan. Dude,
You
I was
were?
a super fan in the 80s.
No way. Shut up.
Me and my brother had these two friends, these Shelton twin brothers, which if they're listening, shout out to you guys. You guys are old homies. Hopefully you're not dead. They lived a hard, rough life, dude. They have some city miles on them. They got me and my brother, we had all watched like Summer Slams from the 80s, and this is in the mid 90s. We would like get the VHSs at Blockbuster and pop them in and go 3 hours deep watching these things with like the old school Ultimate Warrior and like all of these fights that were amazing, dude. The Ultimate Warrior had the baddest entrance ever, dude. So intense, we get so pumped up. And then Hulk, and then all the, like your kind of other wrestlers, but Ultimate Warrior is definitely my favorite. But over, I think there's more of a renaissance now. At least I see it from the outside now with professional wrestling and the WWE. So I see like it becoming much more mainstream because I think there's like a link there with people that used to watch it and now they have kids and their kids, they're getting into it with them. It's just from the outside, from what I see.
Yeah,
no research.
You're right. People want to relive the childhood when they have kids.
For sure.
And they're like, you know what I loved when I was your age? Pro wrestling. We're going to put on some WWE.
Totally.
In my day, Ultimate Warrior had the best entrance. Like, watch this, kid.
Yeah. And it's not a stale product. It hasn't like
No.
declined. It's gotten better, if anything. So I
Yeah.
think when people come back to it, they're like really interested in buying merchandise and setting up the TiVo or whatever to record it if they're not going to watch it live, which I hadn't watched a SummerSlam or anything like that until recently.
Oh my God, what'd you think?
Oh dude, my wife was like
Which
looking.
one did you watch?
I watched with you and Triple H.
WrestleMania.
I'm sorry, WrestleMania. But like I hadn't watched anything like that in years. Any kind of performance of professional wrestling, and dude, I was like I said earlier, like my nipples were hard, dude. I was pumped. I was pumped, dude. I was in bed like moving. My wife was just looking at me. She's like, dude, are you all right? Like, what? And you picked up Triple H for like a good 7 count, it seemed like.
I know, I kept being like, oh, I can't really talk about kayfabe, never mind.
Okay, we'll let it
Shut,
die.
let it die.
But dude, no, it was pumped. I think what they did really well with you is they showcased your athleticism. At first they built the anticipation where you were outside of the cage for, a good amount of that match, but the whole thing is like you almost getting tagged in or just like them panning to you like cheering on Kurt Angle, and you were really like involved but not even showing off anything until the moment you did. And you were like Speedy Gonzalez, like a gnat, that heavy hitting gnat, running around, taking people out, lifting people up that were 3 times your size. And it was really exciting, man, the whole thing. And I liked the fact that like you're able to show off your armbar still, and that's like a good patented move, and the fanboy kind of comes out from within. All the judo techniques that like probably
so much judo.
Fans that have never seen that maybe conflicted on. They're like, that's not a real move, or they're like, whoa, innovative, bringing a whole new spectrum or new dynamic movements into this world that the moves are pretty set. Like I remember learning techniques in here with you, or I was learning like what a schoolboy is and these things. I was actually doing them. I'm like, okay, I can see these. Well, these have evolved over the years.
Yeah, they like have their own like system and style and things that they developed like over the years.
Yeah,
and
and
like
it's
the
evolved.
history behind it, I think, is the most like interesting and fascinating thing, and what really got me really back into it again. And like it's weird when I was a kid, like no one in my family was into it. I was just drawn to it and wanted like a Bulgren, like a Hulk Hogan wrestler. I like would play the video game, but like I didn't know like what channel it was on. I didn't know how to put it on. It was like it was on.
Yeah. I think it was on USA back then, but like But yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't until like Shayna and Jessamine moved in with me and Marina and Lazy and all of us that like I didn't know how to work the TV, and so they would put.
You're so technological savvy.
I
Right
know,
there.
so they would put on Raw and SmackDown.
Uh-huh.
And then we start watching the pay-per-views and all this stuff together, and then it was like getting like really into the stories at first. I was like, oh, this is what is more into it. I started like really getting to the stories, and like this person sings with this person, that person's backstory is over here, and this has to do with like that person, and I'm like, oh, this is what it's all about. And then when I started getting into that, then I started hearing about the personal histories of like, okay, so back, when this was first starting and it was only like in carnivals, they like did this for this reason because, the people are called marks because originally, they were like conning people and they were like marking people to
Okay,
con.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And so like, okay, we're going to convince them we're going to do this real fight, but really we're going to put on this fake fight. I'm going to win, you're going to lose. We're like, going to split the money or whatever,
Yeah.
It was like, it started out as conning the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And like, just how it started out as that history, that carnival, like, and you see those little circus elements still like going from city to city and stuff like that. But you see like, you learn the history and the way things have changed, the way they're still changing. And like, there's still stuff that I'm learning that I'm like, I didn't know this was a thing. And everyone's like, you didn't know that's just the way that it is. And I'm like, I don't know stuff. Like,
Yeah. You're new. I mean, as far as like being a part of the whole enterprise and the company.
But there's so many unspoken traditions and like history and like all this stuff that's like held sacred that like there's nothing to teach you that. Like when they talk about like wrestling etiquette, like it's like a fucking thing.
Yeah, you have to like tiptoe around some things probably that you didn't know about.
And I'm so ignorant, and I'm just constantly like, I just feel like I'm just doing shit to offend people nonstop. I'm like, I don't know.
You're changing the game though.
I know. People think like, wow, she's such a game changer. I'm like, if I knew it was polite, I would have done the polite thing. It wasn't like I was purposely trying to like throw my dick around or anything like that. Like, pow, look, I can do what I want. I'm like, no. So I almost choked on my throat. I can do what I want. I do what I want. It takes a while. You talk.
Maybe it's sometimes good being naive then,
Yeah,
you could be a groundbreaker without knowing you're just being rude, but then it works out for your benefit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a good excuse. It's a good thing about growing up as like a blonde athlete. You see like how much of an advantage it is. And it's something that like I don't enjoy anymore because now people assume I'm smart. But it used to be like people would just assume I was dumb because I was blonde and I was an athlete. So like, oh, blonde, athlete, check, she dumb. And so like
The trifecta.
Yeah. Exactly. So I would like work that shit and make people think that I'm dumber than I am and like kind of like.
I think you've proved a few of those people.
But it was like an advantage sometimes, in situations. And now it's like something that like I don't know how I even got onto that subject, but yeah.
Let it roll.
Sometimes like playing possum is an advantage.
It's like you're a good poker player there.
Yeah. Like sometimes like, oh, people don't respect me enough or think I'm smart enough. I'm like, well, that's something you can use to your advantage then until everybody knows.
Yeah, it's like Machiavellian or what's the Musashi? They've like written books about this. Like, how to approach your enemy different ways.
Right.
So you could take
the art of
advantage
seduction.
Yeah.
Or like the 48 laws of seduction, 40 laws of power. And
it all worked out. You got Travis.
Right.
Must have done
I
48.
gotta know all the laws that matter. Check out Millie. She's hot. I know if I'm hot.
You sound like Paris Hilton. She's so hot.
So hot. No, I mean like temperature.
Took it back to 2006.
Oh God, you never compare me to Paris
Well, you're
Hilton.
blonde, and like.
Nah, Yeah, I'm one porno too many away from.
I think if you bumped into her, you'd break her and she would die. Like just if you were walking.
I don't think that would be my fault. I think that would just be like brittle bones from like not eating and doing rich people drugs or whatever they are.
Rich people. So what are rich people drugs? Coke?
I don't know. Like
Gotta be
Coke
pills.
and like pills. What was Tiger Woods on?
Everything, I'm assuming.
I'm just assuming that he would be on the classy shit.
Which is what, like Pabst Blue Ribbon and meth. Basically.
So much of this is not going out there.
It's all going in. We'll just put a little like disclaimer under it. Everything we're saying here, not.
Yeah.
Shit. Everyone was so skinny. Right?
Yeah.
All right, that era, everyone's anorexic.
Laura's working on a show where the lead is huge.
There you go. So now Hollywood's flipped the script. Yeah, 180. Hey, in 5 more years, you don't know where it'll be. Everyone will be twigs again. So how mile 22 is coming out, right? Pretty soon. How was the whole process being like, again, I know it's not your first rodeo as far as being in a movie, but I want to hear some of these stories. They sound fun, probably.
No, it's cool to actually do it. That's why I do it. Like the actual process of making the movie is fun.
Yeah.
And it's so fun that I will do the stuff to promote the movie because I want to do more of it.
Hell yeah.
That's like my motivation. Some people are like, oh wow, like I don't want to sound like ungrateful, but like some like work is work, and a lot of promotion for these things it's fun work, but it's work. So like the fun stuff, like the actual like filming, doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. Like
the being away from home and just flying, like being on a different flight, like to wherever on Earth, all the time, like going to different places is cool, but like the actual traveling part is not so fun. Like it's just it's got to be like so fun to you that all of it's worth it. You know what I mean? And so like I have such a good time filming and actually being there and doing it that I'm like, yeah, I'll leave my amazing farm and my super awesome goats and go fly to the opposite side of the country and do a bunch of talk shows and promote this movie because I really want it to do well and I really want to do another movie kind of a thing. Yeah. But like other people have different motivations. Other people just like love being on TV and they love like being in the limelight and they really enjoy that. And like I'm not like talking shit on people like that. It's something that I've developed a skill for because I've had to over time. I used to be very afraid to be in front of people or crowds. So,
I remember those days.
Yeah. So I guess because I come from that place of like fear in the beginning,
you're going to overwork. You're going to work harder and you're going to be better based on like that fear probably.
Yeah, but it's also not something that I do for fun, you know, like because I'm so focused on doing a good job. Like go out there and talk to Fallon and don't fuck it up. Yeah, I'm not like, I'm going to go out and be on Fallon and I got a t-shirt and you can't hang out in my room. I was like.
The way you just said that, like envision me what you're thinking in your head and it's your mom's voice a little bit. Like it's like, don't fuck it up.
Don't
it's
fuck
like,
it up.
Okay, I'm scared again, but I'm not going to fuck it up.
Yeah, don't let your nipple out during this interview. Don't fucking slouch. This is your posture. Stick with it. Like,
totally envision that. So like, it's the content that drives you. It's not the fame and all the things that come after. So you actually enjoy the process of going, learning new lines, meeting the people that you're going to be acting with, and getting a good rapport. So it's like naturally on camera and all those things that, I could just envision. What that's like is like work. It's not okay, cool, I get to be on Ellen again, or all those extra things that come from doing a good job, because if you don't do a good job, nothing's going to come of it.
Yeah,
everything has been solid, like from your judo, MMA, WWE, acting, all those things that you've done really hard work in, you flourished. So it's like that's really cool seeing it from afar and up close. So congrats for all that too.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know, I just kind of think of it like, for some people, like, I think fame is a goal, but for me, it's like a tool to accomplish all these other really cool things.
Yeah, you've mastered a craft to be famous. Like some people just don't want to do all that hard work. They just want the end result.
Yeah, like Leonardo DiCaprio is a great example. Like he's done so much great work for like the environment and oceans and all this stuff, and like it's because he's famous.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like. I don't know Leonardo DiCaprio, but. It's just one of those things where I like want to use it to do like
good things for the environment, for people, for humanity, hopefully. Right?
Yeah, not just for like my own ego. I think that's like a dangerous path to walk, and it's a dangerous environment to be in. It's a socially unhealthy environment. I think to be famous, because people don't treat you normally.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like skews your view of reality, and you have to like really kind of manicure your social health and be very, very aware of it.
But you have to be conscious of what people to let in, because people, come out of the woodwork or don't have your best intentions in mind, and you've probably seen a lot of that.
But do that without becoming paranoid.
Yeah, that's hard. That's very difficult to balance that. It's like a tightrope. And I've seen from, both sides, knowing you, and I don't feel like anything is really, your life has changed completely, obviously, but I don't feel that from you towards me or some of the other people that we've known, that you still have a relationship with. So, I think you've done a really good job at being able to balance that ego side of things and in the sports that you've chosen to do are all individual. So
super egocentric.
yeah,
towards.
of course, the pressure's on you, but also the glorification and the result from being a champion in multiple disciplines and being famous. Something I've never really thought about for myself, but seeing it through you makes me like, whoa, it's a lot to deal with, dude.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What did you love about judo?
I love the sport. The rules suck now.
Right?
But
I can't even watch it. They suck so bad. Oh my God. Who the fuck? Why are the referees in charge of the rules?
The coaches can't talk even during the exchanges of judo now. So if I'm sitting in the chair and there's an athlete competing, I can't just yell things. I have to wait until the ref says stop and fix your gis, and I get about a 7-second window to say anything. It's like they've really just like handicapped the athlete and the coach there.
Yeah, so let's make a new judo.
So what's the Bushido Judo?
Oh, Millie.
That sounds like a horn, like there's like an instrument playing.
It's my girlfriend. She wants to hang out.
She's jelly.
She's jelly.
Of your time.
Bushido Judo.
Okay, we're setting it up, dude. I'll help in any way. Let's get these divisions set up. We could stack them, getting some other athletes in that aren't just judo players to kind of sauce it up a little bit.
Exactly. So we should do it with gi, huh? You think?
Gi top only, just like Samba.
Ooh.
No underwear.
No underwear.
I think only
Only the girls.
only gi top mandatory. You can wear pants if you want.
Okay. That's like on you if you want to use it for some grip on your own moves.
Should we have belts?
Belts. The ranking system. So are we gonna just change everything then? Or you're gonna change like the way the
You don't want Jigoro Kano to roll over in his grave,
Dude, every time Ronda took the mat, Jigoro Kano rolled over in his grave. In practice, at least. Because she would wear a blue top and white pants, or she would do the mixed match. Every time. There was never once.
I never matched.
I don't think Jigoro ever cared about that.
Jigoro don't like me, but it's alright.
He only cares about the black gi. He doesn't want no black gi. I like how we assign all like whether he would approve or not.
Yeah, it's like the Bible.
It's the Bible. It's been like reinterpreted by like countless generations.
Every idiot has their own interpretation.
Oh, Kano.
Yeah, and it's some white bald dude that weighs 300 pounds speaking for Kano.
From Kansas.
Yeah, right.
That has no idea.
Oh wait, don't say that. Sorry, Steve Scott's from Kansas.
He's from Missouri, so that's okay. Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, that's right.
Across the river. They don't get along. Those two fought each other in like the Revolutionary War.
They took the name like fuck you. Or
Yeah.
still gonna name our city Kansas City because we beat you so bad we took your name. Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
Like behind you, next to that tree, isn't that a really happy shed?
Oh, dude, it's a smiley face. What is that? Like the wiring? That's the mouth. And
I'm
the
not-
two
I think it's the
windows that
hose.
are the hose.
It's a
Look
happy
at you
shed.
seeing like imagery in the natural state of things.
I posted that before,
Oh, you did.
but I just remembered it right now because it's right behind your head. So it's kind of like I'm talking to you and it's
While
next to
you're
you being
talking
like,
the whole time she's thinking that smiley face.
Yeah, she's not looking at my ugly face.
ah.
I got the
The
face for
glasses on.
radio, bro.
You can't tell.
I should be wearing a hat, sunglasses, and like I'm riding a motorcycle with the bandana over the face, just to cover all this, focus on all that.
So Ronda, why don't you talk about that time when I wanted you to be on the radio and you were like, nah.
You wanted me to be on the radio?
Oh, I remember this. San Diego Senior Nationals, right?
Yes.
So this is before the 2004 Olympic trials. This is the Nationals in San Diego.
Yeah. I didn't-
Radio interview.
I
So
don't-
Ronda was what, 16 at the time? You hadn't come into your own articulately and verbally at that point.
Yeah, and I did like one interview with like USA Today, and they like wrote all this stuff about my mom was like, break her arm, and all these people were like, she made you look like ruthless arm breakers. And
They pegged you before you had a voice.
Yeah, so I was just like, yeah, this is when I was 16, dude. So I'm just like, fuck it.
Grace.
Yes, then you're like, oh, you want to talk to the radio? I'm like, no. That started a long time ago. That shit.
distrust of the media.
The distrust of the media.
And then you started listening to Alex Jones.
Oh, you a slave. Then Maria, my sister,
She's the good journalist.
became a good journalist and made me see the other side of things. And I'm like, okay.
You got some balance.
Yeah, I got some balance. And so I think that we should just hire Maria to be my journalist. That's it. I only need one. I only need one writer, one photographer, one right? Yeah, right.
One video editor.
One video editor, one podcast partner. Podcast partner. What are you? What do you say you do here?
I'm keeping a seat warm. That's basically my job. The focus is on.
But what was I talking about?
About the interview you didn't want to do when you were 16.
Oh, so yeah, so we're doing all this stuff ourselves. We don't need outside papers or reporters and
That's
shit
true.
because everybody
Internal.
has the internet. If they wanna find out about me, they can go bloop. What's she doing? She doesn't like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need people to go to. Oh, I need the people that go to this website because they might see something with my name on it and read some really nice things about me. Like, no one is going to write just really nice things about me in hopes of getting people to read it.
Clickbait. They want to do the most outlandish,
Exactly.
usually negative.
There's no motivation for them to actually write anything that is really positive and well done.
Shocking
It's quick.
Well, Ramona
and
usually
shocking.
does a pretty good job at.
But she also has like a million editors to deal with and all this shit. You know?
Yeah, she's not solo.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so much control that she can have, that anyone can have. They're all like, all of these big media outlets are under these huge corporations that just care about the bottom line, and that's like, how much money, how many views, what are people going to read, and that's not always what's in my best interest.
Yeah.
And so why don't we just do it our fucking selves?
Hell yeah. I'm sure by saying that you got someone mad.
Fuck them. Oh, FDA all the way. Let's see. Every day. Where's my water? I have no water. I live in a world without water. Oh my God! Look at this love, my brother. From another. You have water?
I thought you had another one.
I did, and I drank it, and then it got blown away.
So we could even edit this into the end of it. Not to put labels on this or anything, but this podcast, hopefully we get to do a bunch of these, and it'll be a little bit more possibly keeping your fans apprised of what you're doing and some.
I just want people to feel like they're hanging out. I don't want it to feel like a chore. I just want it to be like, hey, we're all hanging out at my house, and it doesn't need to be itemized or like these are talking points. I think we just need to come and hang out and talk about some stuff, because after all, they just want to feel like they're hanging out. They've heard enough of my interviews and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which are little sound bites that last, some of these interviews you're on where you probably remembered how you're supposed to answer a certain question a certain way, so you just do it. Whereas this is a little more long form, and they get to a little bit know your inner thinking.
Things I won't even get into.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have the time to get into this.
Yeah, because you have to draw context, and you have to be able to make this elaborate story where it's hard to do in 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. With sustainable meat and all that stuff. That was I needed to have a sit down for that one. And I didn't trust anybody else with the information to not butcher it and try to make clickbait out of it. So let's just put it out ourselves.
For sure. And those experiences you've had out there hunting, bow hunting, sure it's good, isolation from the hoopla and the bells and whistles that are in your life. I mean, as much as you travel and do media and you're out there in the public eye, you get to kind of go off into the shadows and tiptoe around nature, hunting these huge animals and be alone with your thoughts, which a lot of people don't get that. I mean,
no. Yeah, I mean I mean, my life in particular is very, very overstimulating, but people's lives in general are extremely overstimulating, and they have so many different stimuli coming at them from every single direction all the time. I think just getting out in the middle of nowhere and being in an area not affecting it, when you drive through somewhere, even if it's seems like wilderness, you driving through there is disturbing that area, just be in a place and not disturb it and just be in it and not have it be about you at all, and in fact, quite the opposite. You want it to be as little about you as possible and try not to disturb anything and to just move through this space without disturbing anything. That's It's really cool to have like everything, not know that you're there, and just see it how it is.
Get to
when we're not
reevaluate
around.
some things a little bit too. Probably
Yeah.
the ego dissolves and you become part of a whole like organism, which is nature, rather than like, hey, this is, you know, when you're a human, I think it's natural to think the world revolves around you a little bit, especially when you're younger. Where it's, you know, it's not really like that when you go 30 miles outside of a city. Yeah, things change.
It's easy to feel like the world's revolving around you, and there's all these things coming at you all the time, and need you for this, need you for that, need you for that, whatever. You know, and it's like, I have to do all these million things, and it's like your whole world and all your space is all the stuff that you got to do. Whereas opposed, like you get out in the middle of nowhere and you're doing something like that, and nothing's coming at you. You're trying to observe as much as possible and take in as much as possible. It's like we're on the defense all the time in this urban environment, and it's like, give me some fucking space. Like, I mean, in general, like I just feel like if like, to be honest, I never used to be afraid of like crowds, but if I'm in a crowd of people, I get nervous because I feel like if one person sees me, boom, like I can have people like crush me in from all directions at once.
Dude, I
And
remember.
it's dangerous. Like people like tearing at you and like ripping at your clothes and things like that. Like people just like, I've seen people go into like a frenzy before, and it's crazy and it's scary. Like I get scared.
Dude, you have the right to be scared, because I remember vividly the first experience I was with you where I'm like, oh shit, like this is different the way people see Ronda. There was an open workout in Vegas before. I forgot who you fought. It was like you were big time, but it wasn't quite. It was me seeing it from the first time from within. We finished our open workout, you did some interviews, and then it was literally like the president barricade where we ran underneath the whatever building we were in to get away from these hordes of people that were just in a frenzy. And I was like, oh my God. So this is a whole nother thing that she has to deal with that I wasn't really aware of. At least from the outside, I saw how famous you were getting, but it wasn't at the level that I had anticipated, where it was like people were ripping at you. You were cutting weight still too. This was a fight you had in Vegas.
I was in the middle of cutting weight at a mall in Vegas.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The fashion show mall. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was like really eye-opening at that point where I'm like, okay, I'm acting as more than just like a training partner. I gotta like watch her back.
Yes, thank you.
It was like, okay, people are gonna try and slip through the cracks in any way, and people did sneaky shit, dude. Like me and Mike or me and someone would go down to the bottom of the elevator sometimes before you would come, just to make sure that things were like not crazy and that you could have a smooth exit to go to the sauna or the wherever you needed to go. And it wasn't easy, you know. No, she's not coming down. She's actually going to be over on that elevator if you want to go see her, which is, I'd be lying to people, but
Wow.
It was for your like own benefit, because I didn't want you to, everyone was working together, colluding
Wow.
to make sure that those things ran smoother than without troubling you with those thoughts.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I've started and this is not for people to think that I'm ungrateful. I love meeting people.
And you're the best with it. Like those after the open workouts where you'd sign every single person, you'd give them a selfie and an autograph, was like 4 hours of your time. That was crazy.
Yeah, that shit was fucking crazy. And that was like certain things like you have to do for other people. Like there's like people's champion stuff.
Expectations.
You have to stay out there for the people. If you're like, there's responsibilities you have as a champion that you just have to do. You can't just be in it just for yourself, I think. But in your free time, like out in the rest of the world, it's like I'm living in Grand Theft Auto, and like my heat can go up. If I love talking to somebody one-on-one. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Da 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 da. Tell me about your day. Cool. Nice to meet you. Do. Cool. But you see one person there. The one person's like, can I have a picture? And you stand back. Say someone insists that they don't want to take a selfie. They want to take a regular picture. Someone sees somebody else standing up across and taking a picture like that.
A line forms.
In a grocery store. That's not normal. Heat goes up.
Mm-hmm.
You're up to like 2. No, like whatever. What was it? What was this?
These are things you have to be aware of as they're happening, because you got to be safe too.
So then when more people start coming, then you're there for a certain period of time. After there for a certain period of time, some of the people that have taken pictures have posted already, and they have geo tagged you at your location. So now another clock is running. Your heat's rising because more people are aware of your location at that exact time. and could be coming to that exact location. So then as your time goes up, you're allowing time for people to get there from wherever they are. And the longer you stay there, the farther like of a radius you're allowing people to come and find you at that exact place. And so then that's increasing and increasing.
Grand Theft Auto, the helicopters.
I gotta go. Blue 32. I'm like, whenever you see me go, blue 32, move. I'm like, it's because my heat's getting up and I gotta move locations.
Yeah.
I gotta change my location and bring it back down to 1. That's my life. I call it Red Rover because everybody's like, Red Rover. Oh, you want some milk? You're gonna have to get in. You know, I love talking to people, but it also would take like 2 hours of conversations to get a half gallon of milk. You know,
I'm sure there's times you've wanted to reset. I know you've all the things you've accomplished. Not that you want that to go away, but just to be like, okay, I wish I could just go to the movies and like enjoy.
Oh, that's why I love doing anonymous stuff. That's like the best. Like anything that's you can like the Star Wars stuff.
Oh, and you get to wear like a stormtrooper outfit or something.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a Rosebud for WWE. They had like little like raver people, Rosebuds. They would come out in masks and stuff. Like I just always like.
You should look into being a furry.
A furry? Well, Abe the Babe, my hairstylist guy, gave me some wigs, and me and Marina would call it wigging out. We'd put on wigs and glasses, and we'd go out. You gotta fly.
Right, my nose.
Yeah, but it's like. It is what it is. It's a trade. Like I said, it's a tool. It's a tool that comes with a price, and there's a lot of like great things that come with it. And I'm not complaining, but I am saying that there are things that come with it. Yeah. And certain things that like, you know, I might not be able to like take my baby to a grocery store in a way that most moms can, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I say so much, but. Me and Chad would kind of like to find somewhere maybe like in the middle of nowhere where the novelty of us being us would wear off, you know, just be around the same group of people all the time. Maybe like, the tiny local corner store. Everybody would get over it after a while, and I would be able to just go grocery shopping with my little babies.
I get the vibe that's kind of how it's like out here because I saw your neighbors, the way they like, hey, Ron, no big deal. You know, like they wave to you and you wave back, and they're not in awe. They're not trying to take too much of your time. It's a normal part of life.
Yeah, but is my thing working? Yeah,
no,
I mean.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I think it's like that on our street, but it's like.
One street removed. It's the
well, I think it's just what is it like 200 people you can have acquaintance.
150 is the magic number.
150 is the magic number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I feel like once you get like outside of. Does it sound all right?
Every time he walks right there.
Oh, okay. But I feel like every time your radius goes like more than 150, like I think that then you're getting like people that you're seeing. I don't know.
That's like in big cities. Like you walk by someone in a huge city and they don't even give you eye contact or say hi. But in smaller places, people, hey, how you doing? Have a good day.
But like I love it when people are like, hey, how you doing? Having a good day. But I also love New York because it's one of the places where I can like
slip around. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can like walk around, my head up and looking around and like looking at things and like, it's not. Like I said, I'm not trying to be ungrateful, but it's like just a thing that you get used to. Of like I got somewhere to go. I got to get somewhere in 5 minutes. I can't get in any like conversations between there and there. I'm gonna put a hat on and like look down and like get to that point because I got something to do and I just don't want to have a conversation with somebody like, hey dude, I'm really sorry, I can't talk right now. I got to go because then someone's feelings get hurt and then I feel bad. You know what I mean?
But everyone's on that wavelength in New York City, so they're not trying to take up too much of their own time.
Exactly. So it's just like it's not like. I'm sorry, it's not like being ungrateful. It's just like sometimes you just only have so much time and energy for all the shit that you got to do for that day. And like every interaction that you have costs time and energy. And sometimes you have no time and energy to spare. And
damn, I couldn't imagine all that as you weight cut. I mean, before, like not now anymore, but just I couldn't imagine it. Like giving anyone any unneeded time or energy while you're, doing your last 10 pounds or 8 pounds and you're, I just remember feeling that way and wanting to hide in a hole, just not having to deal with anything, but having all the obligations.
I was thinking like, you had to be the best on your worst day, and this was what required to be. That
was like a mantra of yours.
The kind of champion that people deserved needed to do all those things. And I needed to be the champion that they needed, instead of the one that I felt like being because it was the most comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being comfortable outside of your comfort zone, something that you were able to do pretty well. Like and flourish.
It's like
It's
the
pretty
Dark
cool.
Knight. He's like the hero that everyone needs, but not what they want.
Batman, yeah.
Mhm.
Right?
I used to use that comparison.
Right. So it's like they don't like him, but they need him.
Mm.
Right. Sort of like being a heel.
Mhm.
Industry needs that heel.
The
but
dark side of it,
everyone's
yeah.
Like no, whatever. Nothing.
Yeah, you
Exactly,
need a
he gets
protagonist, antagonist, yeah.
But yeah,
Just want to keep the story moving in a way that's like interesting and emotionally driven and people can get behind,
yeah.
rather than the scientific cold facts of something.
Yep. What people need might not be what they want or what you want, but
Yeah.
it's what's needed. So, yeah. On that note,
Dude, beware of the GOAT. Ronda Rousey in front of me. The GOAT podcast with the Flow Factory podcast number 8 here at Browsey Ranch in the ring. Maybe no sweat puddles today for us here as we did a long podcast, but next time for sure.
are you planning on playing this on both of those?
I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of like the idea, though, of us having a mysterious podcast that no one can see unless they sign up for the site.
Okay, so I'm cool with that as long as all the content, I got to do some research before every podcast then, just so it's like applicable to your arc, like what you're doing.
How does podcast work? How does money from podcast work?
Sponsors
I
usually?
will sponsor this podcast and pay for it so I can keep it.
It's pretty cool, dude. Like if we invest a little bit,
So maybe that phone, please.
if we invest a little bit too, a little more, we could get another mic for Jacob, I think, because Jacob, you add a lot. I think you would be able. Yeah.
I only add setup.
I like that we can hear you, though.
Yeah. Maybe have a mic over, like
Just
one of
have
those
a mic.
mics that go right here, like on your shirt, that thread under.
Lavalier.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Life was continuing while we were on this, and you have.
no. I was thinking about what we're going to do.
Oh, we're good though. Dude, peace
Peace.
and love.
Peace and goats. Peace,
Okay.
love, and goats.
Okay, Rhonda, it was great to sit here and rap about old times and new. Love you. My
Love you
sister
long
from
time.
another mister. The GOAT, the greatest of all time, right here.
Beware.
Boom.